let us get on with nation building. I think these are good qualities,
done that?
and we will support that.
Would you contradict me if I tell you that we have got here not by suppressing or pretending that race differences, language differences, culture differences do not exist, but that they can coexist without the majority obliterating or oppressing the minority? That's how it's been done, Mr. Shah.
Yes, agreed.
Not by trying to make my friend Ahmad Mattar and Sidek Saniff Chinese or honorary Chinese, but by my accepting them as fellow Singaporeans with equal rights, entitled to equal respect. And when they feel differently and they want to eat separately from me, I respect that. That's how it's been done. Not by pretending it doesn't exist, but by accepting the fact that there are fundamental primeval differences and telling each other we have to live, put up with each other, accommodate, compromise, bargain, compromise again. That's how it's been done. And this is how I put to you, Mr. Chiam, not only your party, but all parties will be forced to go if you have team MPs. You have then to find accommodation, not just with Muhammad Jufrie Mahmood, but with what he represents, what he wants, what he aspires for his community. That's the point.
Well, I agree with you, Prime Minister.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, here is a good time for us to see whether race is an important factor or not by looking at some actual situations. Could I ask for Table 2 to be distributed? Table 2 lists out the constituencies which were contested by Malay candidates in general elections from 1955 to 1984. You'll notice that way back in 1948, Encik Sadon bin Haji Juba stood in rural east, a predominantly Malay area. Now we look at the map showing the constituencies for 1955, where the Malay candidates contested. Would you recognize the constituencies contested in 1955 by Malay candidates? Sembawang, Ulu Bedok, Southern Islands. These were the three constituencies won by Malay candidates, and the majority population in these three constituencies were Malays. Changi, fourth constituency contested by a Malay candidate, but he lost. Now we move on to the next map, which showed where Malay candidates stood for election in 1959. UMNO candidates contested in Sembawang, Hamid bin Jumat in Ulu Bedok, and Muhammad Sidek in Southern Islands. Ulu Bedok, yes, Southern Islands. The areas shaded lightly were the areas also contested by Malay candidates.
May I add that, right, because it's something I know. For the first time in 1959, Mr. Chia, the PAP fielded Malay candidates in any party fielded Malay candidates in constituencies where Malays are not the majority, and won. On the PAP pulling power to get the Chinese to vote PAP in spite of a Malay candidate. That's the first time it's been done, and only been done by the PAP.
Now, I would move on to the next chart, which shows where Malay candidates contested in 1972. Geylang Serai, Kampong Kembangan, in the same general area, Kampong Ubi, Pasir Panjang, which now includes the former Southern Islands. Now we move on to the next map. We jump to 1984. You are familiar with the situation in 84, Mr. Chiam. Can you tell us where the Malay candidates contested, whether they were from the PAP or from PKMS or from Workers' Party?
I didn't make a study of it. Look at table.
Well, then look at the table 2. Brickworks, Eunos, Geylang Serai, Kampong Kembangan, Kampong Ubi, Kolam Air, Pasir Panjang, Siglap, Tanah Merah, Bowen, and Tampines. May I ask Mr. Chiam or Mr. Ling, what is your interpretation of the various maps which you have been looking at?
On surface, it would appear that with the resettlement and the drop in the Malay population, it would appear that the Malay candidates stand lesser chance in the non-Malay constituencies. It would appear on the face of it that that because of resettlement, the one-time Malay majority has now become a Malay minority.
Quite right.
It has more or less diminished their chances of success at these constituencies.
Right. So how did they set out to maximize their chances of success? Where did they stand? Geylang Serai, Kampong Kembangan, Kampong Ubi.
As I said, I believe this problem can be overcome if you can find a good candidate.
We are trying to go by the evidence shown, because they have stated very clearly that there's no evidence of race playing a part in politics. I'm trying to prove to you that race is a primeval force. You may disagree on the percentage of weightage before the voter decides on the candidate. But from the choice of the candidates themselves, doesn't it tell us something? That racial composition of a constituency plays a part in
Yes.
where the candidates want to stand.
Yes. I think there's no denial in this respect.
Does Mr. Chiam agree with Mr. Ling? Do you agree with Mr. Ling?
Yes. Race
Thank you.
is a factor to be considered in elections. Yes.
In the afternoon, the discussions continued on voters exercising their preferences for a candidate of their own race.
Mr. Prime Minister, we agree, Mr. Chairman, that we do have this problem, but are we taking the right solutions? This is what we are trying to say.
Have you a better solution? You know that there is a problem. Tell us what your solution is.
Possibly, the ruling party should get the prerogative. If you feel a Malay candidate in certain constituencies, you must make it a rule or an unwritten rule that the opposition must also feel the minority candidate. So the ruling party has got...
Thank you. Thank you.
So the ruling party has got the prerogative. Whoever
That's right.
forms the government, he should have the say where I want to field the Malay candidate.
I understand you now. Therefore, if we feel the Malay in Kampong Kembangan, only Malays can contest in Kampong Kembangan.
Not
Correct?
necessarily only Kampong
just by
Kembangan.
way of example.
Yes.
Right. Now, we may be able to get your party to agree, but we may not be able to get the SUF to agree, or the Workers' Party. Therefore, we'll have to pass that into the law. Right? That would be very undemocratic, would it?
I think
that
it is
you
better.
allow the PAP to decide which constituencies it will field Malays, and only Malays. Now, let's assume we pass that into law. Right? We reserve 9 seats where we have Malays, only Malays, where we have Malay MPs, only Malays can stand. I am telling you, as Secretary General of the PAP, who has fielded candidates for all seats in 7 general elections since 1959. 59, 84, 7 general elections, and I had to decide where to put Malays. The first breakthrough came in 59, where we won several seats with substantial Malay minorities. And depending on the pull of the PAP, got Chinese votes to support them, and we won. Now, by the 1970s, when the riots, by the late 70s, 1976, when the communal riots were fading in the memory and the younger generation grew up, I had 3 feedbacks. PAP branch secretary, Community Center Management Committee, Citizens Consultative Committee. There are 3 different feedbacks. I arranged it. 1 is my party, 2 the government. 1 through the PA, People's Association, another through PMO, Consultative Committees. They asked me, please next time, give us a Chinese candidate. This chap can't get on with our Chinese grassroots. So, several of them, including Sharai Tadin, I had to move them at the next elections. Sometimes, after moving them, within 1 year of the new constituency, having a new MP, I get the same request, please next time, can we have a Chinese candidate, because this is very difficult. Several such MPs who could not establish rapport empathy had to be dropped. There was nothing wrong with Sharai Tadin as an MP, as a man, except that he could not bridge this cultural, linguistic, ethnic gap. Now, if we designate Chai Chi, Malays only, the Chinese voters and the Indian voters, who are now the majority, will revolt. Therefore, my scheme, twin them with the next constituency, so that the Chinese voter, if he finds no empathy with the Malay MP, will look for the Chinese MP.
So can I say something?
No, but that is, I'm telling you the genesis, the reasons why your scheme, I've thought of it. Just say, in this area, only Malays, in this area, only Indians. There will be a revolt from the non-minority voters.
So I disagree, sir. Because...
what is your experience?
No, as...
No.
No, as... No,
what
let,
is
let
your,
me
how
explain.
many elections have you contested?
1 elections.
Oh. I have contested...
I know, sir. I know, Mr.
9 general participated in 9 general elections, contested in 8. If I include the Malaysian Federation, my party contested in 1 general election there too.
So what we need to do maybe was to give a person like Sharai Tadin a lot of Chinese assistance.
I did. I provided him with full backup staff.
And now with comprehensive education in English, I think this problem will solve itself. Because people will be English educated now, they can understand, communicate each other as we go along. And I think they should be able to communicate in English with each other. And if a parent cannot speak English, cannot communicate with the MP, he will have children who
We
can
have
speak.
been communicating with each other in English, and I still don't understand you. I don't understand how 18% object, and therefore an elected government cannot do it. So each time we're going to do something, we've got to say, look, how many percent is it?
I'm not saying that you cannot do it. You can do it, but it is wiser not to do it. I'm not saying that you cannot do it. You're an elected government, 18% disagree, you can do it. But it is wiser not to do it.
for anybody, any Singaporean, to stand up